Saturday. Christmas comes early.
Unbelievable! Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone!
Chargers.
It's a touchdown!
An exclusive NFL game.
That's fantastic!
Live in primetime.
Wow!
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans.
They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
This episode is brought to you by Google Pixel, the official fan phone of the NBA and WNBA. The new Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro are built different. How? Take the Audio Magic Eraser tool. It helps block out distracting crowd noise so your play-by-play commentary sounds crystal clear. The only phone engineered by Google brings out the audio you care about so your videos sound as crisp as they look. Learn more at googlestore.com/pixelnba. Audio Magic Eraser requires Google Photos app. May not work on all audio elements. Reboot your credit card with Apple Card, the credit card created by Apple. It gives you unlimited daily cash back that you can now choose to grow in a high-yield savings account that's built right into the Wallet app. Apply for Apple Card now in the Wallet app on iPhone and start growing your daily cash with savings today. Apple Card subject to credit approval. Savings is available to Apple Card owners subject to eligibility requirements. Savings accounts provided by Goldman Sachs Bank USA. Member FDIC. Terms apply.
The holidays are a time to feel and create joy. And what could be more joyous than the look on her face as she unwraps a stunning new jewelry piece from Blue Nile? How about getting 50% off your purchase? Blue Nile offers premium quality, priced below traditional retail. Their online experts are available 24/7 to answer any questions and make sure you've picked the perfect gift. For a limited time, you can get 50% off at BlueNile.com. That's 50% off at BlueNile.com.
Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another episode of the Shades of Blue Soccer Show. Cody Bradley, Thad Bell, David Greenwald, and our new intern. I'm calling her an intern. Keaton Code is here, a new face. You may have heard her on the Keeping Current podcast, which Thad has just stopped doing, apparently. What does that sound? Do you guys hear that? What is that humming?
Oh, it might be my garage door, actually. Oh. That honestly could be me.
Yes,
okay,
that was Keaton's
my
debut.
mom's leaving.
I love Keaton's debut onto the Shades of Blue Soccer Show.
Sorry about that. That's my garage door. How lovely.
I thought
that's a loud garage door.
Is it really that loud?
I thought I was just going to shame Thad for his phone vibrating or something. Is what
no,
that
that's
was.
100%. You might hear my dog bark, too. My house is highly crazy.
Sorry, we welcome...
she's a perfect fill-in for Robert.
Exactly.
What a fun debut. Oh, that's funny.
This episode is brought to you by KC Stuntman Actors. Classes now open to master the art of physical drama. Learn how to get shot, take a hit, fall over, just go down. KC Stuntman Actors. You'll get the call, guaranteed. Please go subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. Find the KC Soccer Journal on YouTube as well. So we're going to talk about the 2-1 loss to LAFC, the defending champs. But the thing I want to get to, we're just going to do this right off the bat. We're going to talk about the referees. The conversation I am most interested in is a bell I have been ringing on this show for years about the way referees call games in a way that encourages diving. And I think this play with Daniel Salloi, so that was the one thing that Peter Vermees in the press conference, by the way, which there was one question in the press conference. Daniel Sperry was out like hunting down the referees for that whole situation. So there was one question, Thad asked it, Vermees complained about the referees, and then stood up and left while complaining more about the referees.
Yeah. There really wasn't a whole lot more to ask, but you could have asked another question, Cody.
I sat down and I was tweeting out the recap, and by the time I hit send and looked up, he was standing up and walking away. I had no idea what happened there.
Okay. And so the ref last night was not good. The VAR was not good, but we didn't lose because of the refs.
Okay, we'll get to that's not the conversation I'm having right now, David. Yes, thank you for
I'm just prefacing that before we get a bunch of comments about it.
Yeah,
the refs are not why we lost, but they did suck.
I actually think the goal where the PK where we got the goal. I think that was fortunate. I think we were kind of lucky on that one with him hitting it out of bounds. But no, we're going to get to all of that later. I have said on this show they need to change the way they are calling games. And I think it's funny that this happened with Daniel Salloi, a guy who is kind of notorious for going down. He falls over. He's bragged about it. He's talked to us on this show about that if referees are going to make it something that it works, then they're going to do it. And I don't know, however many years ago, they started in with the yellow cards, that give a yellow card for diving. That'll fix it. But the risk reward there has clearly not panned out because diving is still an issue. And if you look at this play that Vermees was upset about, that I think there was a lot of conversation about, where he's being dragged down by his arm in the box and stayed on his feet. Someone give Daniel Salloi credit. He stayed on his feet. That has to be what is going through his mind. He's a guy that is known to maybe fall over easy, and he stayed on his feet, took a touch, and got a weak shot off because he was undeniably being fouled. And if referees are not going to let the play develop and then go back and call the foul, then guys are always going to keep diving. The reaction to that play was all he had to do was go down, and the PK would have been called. And that right there, yes, that is correct. It is. Everyone knows that, and that is a problem. We're rewarding players for going down, and that's not good. The way they need to change this is give Daniel that shot and then come back and give the foul as well. And I think I got pushed back on that one, and I'm assuming it was from Thad. So, Thad, where are you at on this? Should Daniel have just gone down, and is that the way they should be calling games?
Well, my first pushback is I don't think Daniel's as famous as you make it sound like he is for going down.
Well, we've talked to him about he acts like people say that to him all the time.
I just don't think that's as true. I know he said that you do have to go down sometimes and stuff like that. I completely agree. He did say that. Totally agree. I just don't think he's as famous for it as Dom Dwyer became or something like that.
Okay, I didn't mean to do that to little brother there, but he does know
he deserves more respect than that, man.
Correct. He does know the value of the dark arts and going down, though, does he not?
Yeah. Now, in that particular case, it was a little bit of fouling both ways. Daniel did have a handful of jersey. I can see why they didn't call it.
Were you reading Andrew Wiebe's tweet? Is that where you got that from?
No, and Wiebe can piss off.
I agree.
Wow.
I like Andrew. He's from here, right? So he always has to be harsh for Kansas City.
Yeah, he's repping KC a lot.
He's a KU guy.
But no,
they talked about on the broadcast. They talked about how the VAR confirmed on the broadcast that they didn't give Daniel a foul because he had a handful of shirt. They actually thought he was the one fouling Hollingshead.
And I think that's what the referees, they're going to be looking for something to give them some support, so that's what they're going to say there. But when I saw Andrew Wiebe talking about that, it's just an argument I've never seen. If that foul is happening in the middle of the field and a guy's being dragged down from someone behind him and his arm is back out there protecting himself, like pushing him off, that's just how that always goes. I've never seen that argument of him being at blame there. Keaton?
I agree with you, Cody, because I think if Daniel was maybe behind and trying to grab to pull his way forward, but he was in front,
right?
And that defender was just trying to, get that stuff. I think he was just trying to say, like, hey, like, get off of me. Like, I'm in front of you, just trying to get this touch off. And then obviously him pulling him back, like, that's just his natural, like, hey, like, get away. Like, I think it would have been different if Daniel was behind and trying to pull a jersey to get in front. But I think he was just, like, naturally, like, putting his hand back, like, hey, like, get off.
Yes, that as you did, it's a natural position for an arm to be when you're grappling with someone. David, where do you stand on this changing the way they call things? I guess it's maybe controversial to an extent to say that on a play like that, he should get a shot on goal and a PK. Where do you stand on this? Should they incentivize players to stay on their feet by giving them both opportunities?
I feel like yes and no, because I think that could cause like a lot of gray area, Like some people would be like, well, I mean, this wasn't as bad of a foul, so they shouldn't get, like the PK, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. That's tricky. And I think trying to teach refs how to like relearn that, if that makes sense, would be kind of a difficult thing.
You want to cut diving out of the game. This is how you do it. Incentivize it the opposite way. David, you're shaking your head.
Money.
Fines. Fine him, right? Like, how many times has Chicharito gotten a yellow for diving, but he's not going to pick up a second yellow, so what does he care, right? Make it a percentage of your salary. Ronaldo, you dive, 10% of your salary. You know, you fine him $10,000, Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't care. You fine him $10 million, he does care. You fine Cam Duke $10,000, he cares. You find him $10 million, he doesn't have that. He probably has to put up the family house. But
Like an NFL thing?
Yeah, put up
just
the neighborhood, not the house.
But like, you know, the only way to make them stop doing it is to hit them where it actually hurts and make it a monetary fine. And MLS does do that, but they never publicize how much it is, and it's clearly not enough to stop people from doing it. You know, and then you've got, you know, you referenced the Andrew Wiebe tweet, and he basically said, you know, Salloi has a handful of jersey. He's stiff-arming Hollingshead. He's just as culpable, and he won't get the foul unless he goes down. And basically said, like, you have to dive.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That I didn't like that he's making the argument of maybe Daniel was fouling him also, but then if you say just go down and he would have got the PK, then that means then Daniel wasn't at fault. He wasn't doing something wrong. So I don't know. It's a weird conversation. And you say hit him where it hurts. It's incentivizing the opposite direction would be to give a player 2 chances at the goal. That just seems like I'm going to scratch and claw and do whatever I can to stay on my feet to try to get this one poke past this guy, and then I'll also get a PK if it doesn't work out.
I'll agree with Cody on that one, because if you punish the team, not the player, the coach is going to try to root that out, right? So you have coaches who will highly recommend that diving, all the dark art stuff, and you know we'll push it, and you'll have coaches who don't, because Vermees really doesn't push that type of stuff. He actually kind of goes against it a lot. Not that he won't use it at times, but if you punish the team by making them get an extra chance on goal or whatever, coaches will try to stop it. And I also want to like waver a little bit. I was saying that Daniel had a handful of his jersey, but I'm going back and like going through frame by frame a little bit. And the player is actually pulling him back before Daniel grabs jersey. He has his arm out, which is a really common thing, just to try to block a little bit. And he's already pulling back on his arm before Daniel grabs the jersey and tries to angle him away from him a little bit. So I can see again why they may have called it the way they did. I don't really disagree with it, but there's a very much an argument for both ways on that it should have been a penalty or not. I can see both ways on that.
I also think the diving, I know you can't call based on where you are in the field, like a card's a card, a bad tackle is a bad tackle. But I think like someone diving in the final third rather than someone diving in their defensive third, like that, those are different opportunities in the game. Like Daniel was in a very prevalent goal scoring like opportunity. So I understand why you'd want to dive there. But if he's at, you know, like half field, it's like, you don't really need to dive there. Yes, you might change possession, but I was going to say, I think it's different circumstances, but I don't think that you can change your calls based on, you know, where it is on the field necessarily, because that's not like fair reffing, you could say.
There are whole teams that at certain times in a game when they're desperate, if they get touched in the final third, they're going down looking for that free kick from the corner to swing it in.
Dallas.
Dallas is the team of the dark arts in MLS right now. I love that they were fighting with St. Louis too, so it's not just us. They're pissing literally everyone off is Dallas right now.
I thought you were going to go for national teams.
Yeah, we didn't have time to get in a national team pod here. Maybe in segment 3 we'll get to talk about more about the referees. Genuinely one of the worst refereeing performances I've ever seen in my life. But who cares? 3-0 over Mexico. Okay, let's wrap up this segment here, and we'll talk about the LAFC game. Not sure if you're going to.
We only talked about the one call that Daniel didn't get. The Kinda.
Well, all the other calls are in the next segment. We're gonna actually talk about the game. The first segment was about the 2 fouls or the double jeopardy on PKs.
I don't see that in the rundown, Cody.
How do you not? That is literally what this says. I have this nailed. Everyone else was on it. You're the one that is not on it.
Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the icon of vacations. Icon of the seas. Arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry Bahamas.
'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com.
Okay, segment 2. Not sure if you heard a break, but that was the first ad break. 2-1 loss versus LAFC. Some of you might have seen, if you were in the Cauldron, you might have seen Keaton running around there getting some video for us. We're pretty excited to have that. Keaton, did you have fun in the Cauldron?
I did. Cauldron, there are some super fans.
That's
really
what they're
super fans. It was actually a few kids' first games too. So I was kind of excited. I'm like, wow, first game in the Cauldron.
And kids too.
I know they were like some 7 and 8 year olds, and I was like, I don't think they're ready for the language in there, but okay.
Yeah.
They seem to.
Okay, so David, you mentioned the other calls. So I do want to talk. We're on the referees, so let's just talk about the aspect. Daniel Sperry missed the press conference because he was preparing the questions for the referees. Thad, what is that? What do they call that again? I'm forgetting how they.
The pool reporter.
The pool reporter. Yes.
Yeah. So one reporter gets to ask questions to the ref. They get to ask a couple questions. They get to ask one follow up after they get the first non-answer.
So it's the home pool reporter gets to do it every game.
Yeah. There's 3 of them for Sporting, which is Sperry, I think Jimmy Mack, and me.
So they couldn't have asked questions to the referees. LAFC, if they were mad about a call, they couldn't have done it because they're
I think typically their pool reporter would ask Sperry to ask a specific question.
Oh yeah, okay, I see.
Because I know he and Seattle or Portland were going back and forth to ask questions on a previous game.
Well, the questions are always. It's a charade. This thing that we do here with the referees is a charade. You know the exact answers they're gonna get. The answers every time are just absolutely ridiculous. It's pointless, and I think the only reason we do this now is just to express our anger with certain calls. We do this just to let them know that they messed up. So, for instance, here, what evidence did you see when reviewing Sporting KC's stoppage time goal that was waved off that led you to believe it was a clear and obvious error? The answer: the SKC attacker follows through and kicks the defender. Okay, great. Why was it not deemed a penalty kick when Daniel Salloi was held by an LAFC defender around the 53rd minute? The level of contact was deemed not sufficient to award a penalty. Great. Getting shorter here. With 21 seconds passing from foul to goal and the ball recycling play outside of the 18-yard box, was it still deemed to have occurred within the attacking phase of play? And the answer, yes. So I don't even know why we ask these questions. The answers are self-explanatory. There's no even need for them to respond, because the way this question is, was it still deemed to have occurred within the attacking phase of play? Yeah. That's why it was called that. We get nothing out of these answers, and it drives me crazy. They need to either end this or figure out something different to do with it, Thad.
Well, I'm sure they would be open to suggestions.
Well, isn't that the nature of the... Sorry, Keaton. But isn't that the nature of the question?
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask.
Right? If I ask a yes or no question, you get a yes or no answer. If you had said how much time needed to elapse to reset the attacking phase of play, then you put it on the ref. This was 21 seconds. What time would have counted? How far back did the ball need to go for it to not matter anymore? That's the question. You ask a yes or no question, you know what the answer is going to be.
The answer to that one would have been, it's probably not an amount of time. They would have just been like an amount of time is not what changes that. It's they were all still in the attacking phase. Answer done.
I think with the refs, they're not going to give you anything until you force them to give you something. Like if you word a question and they're kind of like, I can get away with saying yes or no, but if you word it in a way that they kind of have to explain and have to respond, I think that's how you're going to get better answers. But wording questions is obviously
Peter Vermees and players yelling at them on the field are getting better responses from the referees than these right here.
I would love to see referees do press conferences. In no league do they let it happen, but like there's so many bad calls over every sport, and I understand that officiating professional sports is extremely hard, but like you ought to be responsible because you materially change games. And like there was the NFL game a few years ago in the playoffs where a guy, like there was a clear pass interference and it affected the game, and somebody went home and he got knocked out of the playoffs because of it. And like that ref, he kept his job, nothing happened to him, like he's unscathed except for Twitter. But like he should have to sit there at a press conference and answer questions to the media on like why he failed at his job that day. Because like when Daniel Salloi duffs an open net sitter, he has to. When Peter doesn't sub properly, he has to. So why shouldn't the refs?
Do you think it's ever an ego?
Well, yeah. That ego, and then it's just it's to protect them. Like it's one of those things. Everyone knows refereeing is not easy. They're never going to get it perfect. And I feel like if you're on the referee council, whatever the hell you want to call it, in the union, it's just like a slippery slope, right? Like once you start doing this and explaining all that, then you're just opening yourself up. But no, the press conferences is probably a no, but it seems reasonable. We got rugby referees running around out there. You can hear every word that comes out of a rugby referee's mouth. You can hear the people he's talking to up in the booth. It is a superior experience, and it seems like that's something that they could do with soccer referees, because it's like you can, I don't know what is the worry there. Like I guess you can hear cuss words from the players. Well, they do that in rugby, and you just hear it. You can hear it from fans and players on the side anyway. So yeah, that's what I want to see. I don't necessarily want to make these poor guys get up there and sit in front of a press conference and do that. We can yell at them on Twitter. They'll see it on Twitter. That's our weapon. But no, I want to be able to at least hear their thought process during the game. It would probably make refs more likable, in my opinion.
Cody, are you a big rugby guy?
No, my roommate is. There's a lot of rugby on in this house here. He'll really just do anything to not watch soccer because I say soccer's cool. So he sits and watches rugby and lacrosse and ridiculous things in his room.
At least it's not cornhole, right?
Nah, no cornhole.
Okay, so in some defense of MLS and the refs, they do the MLS VAR review thing, video, a few days after, and you can essentially hear all of it at that point that they talk about, but it's only select calls, the ones that are more controversial.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I think they actually pick the ones that most reinforce the goodness of VAR. But in some fairness, with this, is there one of these calls that was wrong, absolutely 100% wrong in how they called it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Daniel PK one is objectively wrong.
Objectively, but not 100%, because again, Daniel had a hold of him, and he was pulling back, and he got off a shot.
Neither of those things change it. That to me was 100% a PK. The Khiry Shelton kicking the hell out of the guy's leg after he kicked through the ball. That's the one I'm on board with what you're saying there. But no, I feel like any human being that watches any sport will see that Daniel was being impeded while he had a free shot on goal, and it should have been a PK.
Well, and video review.
Call it first.
Yeah, video review is great in the sense of you can try and go back and get the call right, but it's also changed the way that the ARs and the center ref officiate the game. So, we'll keep the flag down and let play continue unless it's like very clearly offside, and then we'll try and fix it later. But the standard is clear and obvious error. And so you've now created a situation where, there's ambiguity in it again. So when Gotti gets chopped down, anybody with eyeballs should see that that's a PK and a clear PK to start, but the center ref doesn't call it because VAR's there to back him up, right? But now you're, zooming in on the ball and trying to see, like, did it move at all? Like, did the spin change even a little bit? Is there any way we can justify it not being an error? And it gets kind of to a point of absurdity. 10 years ago, pre-VAR, that's a stone cold PK every time. But now, maybe the ref is less likely to call it because, like, if he really messed up, like, maybe they'll tell him.
All right, we'll move on from the refs. We can actually talk about the game here. It was one of those games. It was a game of Sporting KC old where they dominated more shots by a mile and just couldn't come out on top. Steve Cherundolo made 3 changes at the half that I think ultimately made the difference. Carlos Vela was one of them. And, well, actually, I say that, and Sporting continued to dominate in the second half. It just, they didn't have Carlos Vela, I guess, but they did have Khiry Shelton playing at right back. I'm not going to give Khiry Shelton too much blame on that. It was a really fluke play. Aaron Long just kind of sticks his foot out, doesn't know exactly what he's doing. He's putting the ball into a certain area, and Khiry had about 2.5 seconds to get back on the line while he was the farthest guy back trying to make an angle for his keeper. So really unfortunate for Khiry there. Unfortunate for him that he was in both plays. The goal got called back because of him, and the winner was scored kind of because of him. Thad, what do you think of Khiry at right back at this point?
It should be emergency use only.
Was this emergency use only, though?
No.
Why not? Because Jake Davis apparently can't go 90 minutes.
I don't know that. I think it was just a maneuver to get Johnny Russell in, quite honestly.
Okay.
And I don't think they would have needed to do that. I don't know. Maybe maybe he was cramping. Maybe there was something going on. We don't know that. But I don't want to blame Khiry on one hand, but if he was an experienced right back, he probably would have been getting back in line with the other defenders, and Vela would have been off. So it's an experience thing. It's an instinctive thing. If you play defense, you're doing this. He's done this well in the past when the last game he played there, and I don't think he's completely terrible at it, but it's an instinct thing. If you play that position normally, you do it. And players still make mistakes. I mean, they still get caught out. Experienced defenders still get caught out. But so yes, was he in the wrong? Yes, but I don't really blame him for it because that's not his spot.
David, are you mad at Khiry?
No. I mean, you
normally
read our comment
are.
section. People are mad that he was jogging back to set the line on the play where Vela scored. He's the reason Vela was still onside. People are mad that he kicked Aaron Long. And that's kind of just a fluky thing. That's not like he lost his head and made a bad foul. At the end of the day, Peter Vermees is the one who signed him to a 3-year deal. He's the one who gave him $650,000 a year, and he's the one who puts him in the games.
Very true.
I will say, too, Peter in the press conference was kind of defending, especially Khiry, about that ball. Because he was like, that's a difficult decision as a defender anyways. Yes, maybe he should have been up, but I think Peter was even kind of acknowledging, hey, this is a difficult defensive thing. So, I mean, just from Peter's standpoint, at least, he didn't seem too upset about it. So I just thought I'd put that in there because he was talking about it in the press conference. So
yeah, he'll always back up his boy for sure.
Yeah, and he's done that a couple times in the pressers lately because of the flack that Khiry gets, which is somewhat deserved, somewhat not deserved. And it's good to hear him backing him up and supporting him in that regard. It doesn't mean he's not some at fault for some of this.
Erik Thommy was on the wing and played well, had some good moments, got some oohs and ahs out of the crowd for a minute. Thad, what do you think of Erik Thommy on the wing? Actually, sorry, but I actually like the idea. It's funny to me that the thought of maybe why he hasn't been as successful as we think he could be is because he runs around all crazy. Vermees has said he could do more with less. And so it's funny to me that they just kind of stick him in the corner where he really only has one direction to run towards goal. So I think that's funny they put him out there. But how do you think he did on the wing, Thad?
I liked it. I've often thought that he should be a winger when they have enough midfielders to play, and that he would be a good person to fill in for Salloi when he wasn't playing, or Johnny when he wasn't playing, and it worked out well, I thought.
It did. David, what do you think?
I mean, he gotten time on the wing back in Germany, I think. But, had been a left winger, not a right winger. But our system works either way. So I'm not surprised he was out there. He looked pretty good, I think. And this isn't a criticism, but it's just another kind of thought, is that maybe we would have been better served playing, Khiry to start on the wing and letting.
Wow, listen to you.
Well, because here's the thing, right? What happened at halftime was that LAFC put in their best player, right? It was an impact sub that changed the game. When we pulled off Gotti, we didn't have an impact sub to put on.
Right.
We had Johnny Russell coming back from injury, and that shuffled everything around to where now Kyrie's playing right back. And so if maybe you start Thommy on the bench, you start Khiry at right wing, you can sub Johnny in as a like for like with Khiry. You can sub Thommy in for Gotti, who's clearly gassed, and now you've made kind of 2 impact subs. But I don't know that it was wrong to do that. We looked great. We dominated the first half. And outside the first 10 minutes or so of the second half, we were pretty dominant in the second half. I don't know that Vermes was wrong to make those roster selections, but he could have saved something because we had nothing on the bench.
Danny Rosero also came back, almost got a winner or an equalizer at the very, very end with his head. It was good to see him back. He did kind of get embarrassed very quickly in like the second minute or whatever that was on their first attempt at goal. Thad, is Danny Rosero a step up from Volader?
Yes.
See how I tee you up for an easy one, and you still just give me a yes?
We just talked about this. It's how you ask the question.
Right. He asked me a yes or no question. So yes. Would you like more? Would you like analytics? Would you like observation, opinion?
Do you have analytics in there? Give me some analytics. You got that under your belt, and you haven't been whipping that out?
No.
Wow, that was a bad analogy there. That was a really bad analogy. 2 analogies come together that failed miserably.
Yeah, that's not.
Okay, any final thoughts on this game? Any final thoughts on this game? Nope. Okay.
It's a disappointing result, especially given how well we played. But when you don't convert your chances in the first half and, you go in 1-0 on an excellent team, you're gambling. Yep. Sporting should have been up 2-3-0 at half, and it's probably a different conversation. But losing to LA is not a bad loss. It's disappointing, but it's not a bad loss. And we're still only a few results away from being in a good spot on the table.
It is very disappointing because it was a team that.
I agree. I think.
Go ahead, Keaton.
Go ahead. Sorry, I keep. Well, I was just gonna say
Someone's
I
on a
agree.
delay.
I think you have to acknowledge that the calls of the refs were not the best. Huh?
Oh no, Keaton's on a delay. I guess is what's happening.
Okay,
there.
I think if. Is it really delayed? Is it bad?
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Thad. Well, I was gonna say, go ahead, Thad. I'll say mine after.
I'm waiting for you, Keaton. Go ahead.
Okay. Anyways, I think you have to acknowledge the refs and like the bad calls, but I agree, like what David said at the beginning. Like it's the game is not just the refs. Like we have to finish our chances. We have to, execute. And yes, the ref calls don't necessarily help, but at the end, it's how we perform and how we execute. So.
And I'll follow it up with, there are games where the referees do directly impact the result of the game because it's a 1-goal game, but this one's not one of those, I will say. They could have done it, but it's just really, really disappointing because you had a team in LA that had played a lot of games, was on a down moment, didn't have as many subs as they wanted, couldn't start their best players. Sporting put out a really pretty good lineup. They should have finished some chances, and it's just really, really disappointing. They could not have taken advantage of a home game. against the team that was there. And I know I mentioned it in our Slack channel that it could be a trap game just because you have the expectations you're going to do well, and it kind of came back to bite them.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need, have coverage options to protect the things you value most, file a claim right on the State Farm mobile app, and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Okay, we mentioned the standings. Sporting KC did slip into 10th place, just below the line for the playoffs. Portland got a draw last night, I believe, to push them up above us. Galaxy on Wednesday, some footy after dark again with these late West Coast kickoffs, 9:30 p.m. kickoff. David, how are you feeling about the Galaxy game on Wednesday?
Well, Sporting is so Jekyll and Hyde. It's tough to say good because, I was very cautiously optimistic given about the LAFC game for all the reasons Thad just talked about. But good, LAFC sucks. Chicharito's out.
Galaxy suck.
Did I say LAFC?
Yeah.
Oh no,
they suck right now too.
I still love Ilie, and he deserves his stained glass in the members club.
True.
No, the Galaxy suck. They're terrible. Chicharito's out for the year. Their U22 striker, who never got enough playing time anyway and was very good, Jovic, he's out on international duty. So I don't know who will kick the ball for them. But it's an away game, and who knows? I'd like to say very optimistic, but who knows?
Thad, you excited?
Yeah.
Keaton, how are you feeling about the game on Wednesday?
I'm excited. I just hope that we get back into a rhythm, and I hope that they have a good couple, 1-2 days of training just to get back into things. And I think that yes, we can be disappointed about the game, but I think that it's that 24-hour rule. You have to get back to what you're focused on. And I think that if we can get a result here, then I think we'll get back on that track.
See, Keaton's still a player. She's got the 24-hour rule in her head. She's still got the.
Oh yeah.
She's doing it from the player angle here.
Just because we had that rule though doesn't necessarily mean I followed it. I'm pretty sure I'm still stuck on games from 8 years ago, but it's a strategy that some people can do. Maybe not me, but
maybe
I think when you're at that level, you kind of got to do it.
Maybe these professional athletes can actually do it. We're recording this game before the current game. You guys will be listening to this after the current game. So Thad, your challenge is to give us an update on the current, but make it relevant for no matter what happens in this game later on tonight.
Probably it will not matter what happens in this game, but you got to remember this will be Debinha's last game before the World Cup. So she will be probably called up shortly. They haven't announced those rosters yet, but it's really highly likely. She'll be called up, so this will be her last game for the current until after the World Cup. And the current really, really need to get this result if they have any chance of doing something the rest of this year. They're getting players back. Morgan Gautreau, started her first game. That was her second game, but coming back at all. So that's at least good. They have players starting to get healthier. Alex Loera, Hannah Glass, who has declined to be called up to the World Cup so that she could get healthy and stay with this team. So that is at least some goodness that they will see the rest of the season.
Keaton, what has he missed?
Well, I was going to say, too, who's going to slide into Debinha's spot then? Because I feel like she's been I think she plays the 10 a lot different than any of our other players would. Who do you think is going to slide in there?
And there might be some benefit. I hate to say this, but sometimes when the best player on the team steps away, they can get into a more regular form. Debinha is one of the most talented players in the world. The problem is she floats, and you never know what she's going to do. So it's harder for a regular flow to know exactly where players are going to be. It can create a beautiful creative mix, but it can also be hazardous to having that good result every time. So it might actually benefit them for her to be gone for a little while. And problem is Lowe's out for a while. We don't know exactly how long. I don't think they know exactly how long. And so now you're looking at probably Vanessa DiBernardo stepping up to be the 10 again when sort of role. They have other players that can slide in there, just not as good.
I was gonna say I have really liked seeing Hammy up top too. I think she's been a really big impact player, and I think she's came back from that injury really well. So I think she's a leader on the field. I think she's definitely a prevalent player up top, and I think she leads the front line really well. So I've liked seeing her play a lot too. So I think she'll be good for them.
Yeah, you're right. She's been a big impact for coming back. They really needed her. She may not be the absolute most clinical finisher or most skilled player on the team, but just her nonstop effort makes them a lot better.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Keaton, what a professional. She crushed that challenge there. That is the exact conversation to have all next week of what do they do without Dabinia. Just crushed it. I'm going to challenge her next time, Thad. You failed.
So, Keaton, let me ask you, do you think the Current should just go all in on the Challenge Cup, given the results in the league this year?
Just go all in?
Yeah, just
ignore the league?
There's not like that's they're not going to get relegated. So, I mean, obviously you want results, but we want a trophy, right? And we've seen this in MLS. So like, God, I don't even know how long ago it was, but like DC United had like 2 wins in the league, but they won the Open Cup because they're like, screw it. We're like, might as well win a trophy if we're going to be the worst team in the league.
Right.
So do you think the Current should go just all in on the Challenge Cup?
I mean, it might build some confidence and some reputation because, I mean, we're a 2-year-old team, 2, 3?
Third year? Third year.
I mean, yeah, third year. So I think, why not? New coach, like new team, like just go for it. But I don't know if Coach is it Eric Bloom? I always feel like I'm saying it wrong.
I usually just say coach, but I think it is Herr Bloom.
Okay, I never know how to say it correctly. I mean, it's kind of up to her. I can see both ways, but I mean, build some confidence. I feel like especially when I play, like my biggest thing is like, let's get some wins and just go for it. And then you can build off of there. But that's just my opinion.
I don't think management will let them do it though.
Really?
Well, because like Dabinia's not going to be back until, let's see, the round of 16 knockout games are on August 8th.
Mm-hmm.
So at the earliest, she'll be back after that because there's 0 chance that Brazil doesn't advance out of their group.
Right.
And like a good chance that she won't be available till like mid to late August.
Right.
And probably take at least a week or 2 off because it'll have been grueling and a time change and all that stuff.
And she'll have to recover from them getting eliminated early.
Why? Why are you the way you are?
Because you're here. Just because you're here. I had to do it. Okay, guys, I got to go. It's Father's Day. I got to go meet the old man for lunch. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers and the 2 fathers we have here. What are you guys doing today?
I'm going to the Current game after this and went to breakfast, though, with the family. And then we'll actually have a dinner tomorrow night, probably.
David, do your small children get you anything for Father's Day, or are you still grinding?
Yeah, they got me they made some stuff at school. My dad's name is David. He is it says he's 4 years old. His favorite food is a kale salad, which is not true. My favorite color is brown, not true. I have black eyes, which is not true.
And scary. That sounds scary.
I heard let's see. For fun, he likes to go to work, not true. But it was very sweet. And then my kids, I'm using air quotes for those listening to the pod and not watching the video. You should check us out on YouTube, though. They got me Legos, which is nice. I'm a big Lego fan, so I'm going to go back to building my car and then dinner with the fam tonight.
Wow.
Very cute.
Was it generic Legos or a Lego set specific one?
It is the new Ford GT.
That is a very dad thing.
I'm so shocked that Dad's going to a soccer game today. He like never does that. So
I know.
Treat yourself, Dad.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'm so shocked.
That's pretty much like if you go back through Facebook, you can see like every Father's Day. Yeah, went to a soccer game, went to my daughter's game, went to FC Casey game, went to my daughter's game, went to a sporting game. It's pretty much
Love it. Well, happy 4th birthday, David. That's very exciting.
Thank you very much.
Very cool.
I feel like my vocabulary is very strong for a small child.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm impressed.
Cody, we're not going to take this opportunity to talk about the U.S.?
I gotta go. Did you not hear me? I'm gonna be late.
It doesn't bother me one
Give
bit.
me, you got 30 seconds on USA.
Go USA, 3-0.
3-0, vamos.
Taste the rainbow, everybody. Let's get after it.
Neither side don't seem so tough. And 3 own goals ain't all that rough. Our skipper has just been sent off. Supporters strong have all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.